Welcome to TriTech University. My name is Bill Steppen, and today we're going to start a new series on the channel focusing specifically on the online contract functionality that we have introduced many years ago, and we continue to revamp and rehash. And it's something that kind of got its home in the music industry, and it continues to focus and specialize in that area today. So we're going to approach this series from that perspective. Now, it can be used for other types of online contracts, but I don't want to muddy the waters too much. I want to focus kind of specifically on the original intention that it was designed for. So, what we're going to do is we're going to kick off a three-part series where the first part we'll take a look at kind of one half of the equation of the setup. On next Thursday's session, we will take a look at what I like to call the other half of the equation, and then we'll wrap things up the following Tuesday after that, the third session of the month, to kind of tie those two sides of the equation together, and hopefully we'll still have some time for just general questions kind of from the whole point of, or from the whole series. So as always, some housekeeping little tips here. Over to the right is the chat option on the tab over there. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and click over to that. And then down at the bottom is a nickname button. You can click on that to put in your name, and you can use that to talk to me and ask me any questions that you have about today's content. And if you have questions, you can even chat amongst yourselves. But that way, that's how you're going to be able to communicate with me and communicate with others during this broadcast. Like always, a lot of you are veterans to this and have been around for a number of these broadcasts. So, let's go ahead and just like we always do, let's switch over to my AIM screen. So like I said, we're going to be focusing kind of specifically on the music side of the setup today. So I'm in my music-oriented AIM setup today, as opposed to my usual TriTech University one that I kind of have for multi-purpose and multi-industry solutions and demonstrations. So, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about an overview. So with the overview, let's actually just bring this up first. So let's go to Maintenance and Active-E to the Contract Setup Launcher. This Contract Setup Launcher is basically where all of the setup relating to online contracts takes place. Let's go ahead and open this up, and this basically opens up a little mini menu where all of the related functions can be set up. And just to get back to that overview that I was talking about, I like to break this down into two sections. And the first section is all about setting up school-related information. The second section, which we will take a look at for the most of next session, next Thursday, and then part of the following Tuesday, is all about the inventory and setting up and kind of linking those two sections together. So the mindset of this whole solution is such that when your prospective customers come to your website for the purposes of renting something, whether that is a band rental or whatever it might be, they're going to be picking the school of which their child is attending. And if you're wanting to open this up to people who don't attend school, you can do that as well. That gets broken down by three tiers, if you will: district, school, and teacher. What that means is that can help you funnel your customers to the most appropriate choice by starting at a district level, going to school, and then ultimately to the teacher that their child is taking lessons from. From there, which, like I said, we'll get into this the following couple of weeks, they would then select an instrument that they're planning on renting. You'll be able to display the rental rates that you offer to them. and you can do all kinds of things with this. So, hello, Lyndon. Good to see you. Happy birthday again. And hello, Rich. Good to see you here today as well. Okay, so that's kind of, like I said, kind of the overview. Is setting up the schools with their districts and teachers. Then next week we'll get into the inventory. So let's jump into setting up districts. Now, when we talk about districts, we're just talking really about the widest possible category, if you will, that we can group schools together. District is one of the most popular. If you choose not to use district, you can think of this table as being other types of groups, if you will. Maybe that's going to be county or state or region or borough or whatever suits your particular customer base, obviously depending on certain regions or certain areas. We're going with our kind of the typical mindset here of district. And I've got a handful of districts that are local to our area here in Iowa, technically in the Dubuque tri-state area here. And it's very simple. You basically just go in and you give it a name, and then that's all you really need to do. And that could be as simple as clicking the add button, going into the district field and typing in the name of the district. So that might be, let's see, we already have Dubuque and Western Dubuque and East Dubuque and Platteville. Let's just call this New District Alpha. Just something off the top of my head. You can put in whatever you want there. This is going to be what your customers will see when they are browsing. So again, if you're not going by district, this could be like I said, the borough, or it could be the state or the region or whatever you want to kind of group your schools by. And then on the website itself, on the Vortex website, just let the folks at Vortex know, or you could even customize it yourself so that instead of displaying the word district, it's going to display state or region or county or whatever you're kind of using this table to create. Now, I don't want to get too confusing with these other fields, this topic field and these other things. So I'm not going to dive too much into their specifics right now. Just make sure that if you are setting up these districts for the purposes of your online contracts, that you do not checkmark this whole option of exclude from contracts. This table does double duty for other functions on the website as well. But since we're focusing specifically on online contracts, you just want to make sure you don't exclude it from that. So that's the whole idea of the district. And yeah, I'm showing as broadcasting sound, and it looks like others are having sound as well. So Tamino, you may, obviously you can't hear me. Let me just hop over into the chat box. Tamino, if you do not have sound, you may wish to check your speaker setup. Okay, so getting back to where I was. Hopefully I didn't derail my train of thought too much. But so that's the whole idea of districts. Again, okay, good, awesome. Glad to hear it, Tamino. Okay, so that's districts. If you don't want to do districts, you can do other concept, or you can do other specific categories, if you will. The concept remains the same. When we get to the school level, these are the schools that are going to be combined or consolidated, essentially paired with those districts. And I've got a handful of schools here. Again, the whole idea here is as you add a school, you can give it the school name, School A, and then you come down here and you link it to the district. So this is where I can make a selection of the what did I just call it? Did I save it? I thought I saved it. Maybe I didn't. But basically, this is where you link it to the district. So you start with the districts, and then you come here to the schools, and then you link it to the district. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between school and AIM school. There is a function here, especially for those of you who have been using our contract solution for your school rentals for a long time. We're talking years, if not decades. There is this whole idea of doing the auto school function to build this list from your existing add change schools area here over in the contract maintenance area. So in here, if you've got a fully fleshed out list of schools over here, you can pull that list of schools from there into this table. Now, when you do that, you're just going to want to pay mind to the whole idea of the name of the school. And here is a great example, East Dubuque Elm. Now, in that other school table, we were limited at the time of creating that table to 15 characters. So you may have had to shortcut or abbreviate some of those words, which wasn't a big deal because that was internal. This is now something that your customers will see on the website. So you may want to, if you do auto school and pull those school names in, you may want to come in here and just go ahead and flesh out those abbreviations so that when your customers are browsing the website and they say that, okay, yep, they are in the East Dubuque School District, that they see specifically East Dubuque Elementary or whatever the name of the school is. You can keep this table as is so that you don't have to go back and edit and rehash the existing table from which you've been running reports for forever and ever and ever. And that way, it keeps things clear both for your customers online as well as for your staff who have been probably trained via muscle memory of looking up the various schools that they're running reports on. So that's the whole idea and the difference between school and AIM school. AIM school is the internal school name from which you run your reports and your filters. School is the name of the school that the customer will see online. When it comes to this AIM location, if you do run more than one location at your store, this is a way that when a school or when a contract comes in for a school that for a customer that's attending a certain school, you could set it so that it gets linked to a specific location regardless of the workstation that processes it. And we'll be getting into that part of the whole setup and processing on Tuesday the whateverth when we kind of wrap this all up. So that's the whole idea there of the AIM location. And I'm going to talk about this topic field again. I'm going to talk about that near the end. But again, we're trying to keep things simple. We're trying to just keep them bite-sized pieces as we go along. So at the school setup, it's just a matter of taking the names of the schools, adding them to this list, and then associating them with the appropriate district from the previous step. Let me know if you have any questions. Hopefully it's pretty straightforward. The last thing that we're going to really dive into today is teachers. And I want to spend a little bit more time on teachers because this can be a kind of a pretty huge variable depending on your relationship with the schools that you service. If you are of the if you are on that personal relationship with the different band directors and school music directors and teachers and lesson coordinators of these schools, by all means, it can be a huge benefit to actually take the time to set up the individual teachers on this table. What this is going to give you is the ability to, when we get to the end game of kind of tying all of this together, is the ability to specify certain variables for different teachers. For example, let's take a look at Audubon here. Audubon, I've got set up, there's 3 different teachers that teach at Audubon: Barb Fleming, Beth Wertinen, and Michelle Long. Barb might prefer a certain type of method book that she prefers for her students versus Beth or Michelle. Maybe Barb prefers essential elements and Beth prefers what the other one is. Now I've completely forgotten it. But when we get to that end game, we'll be able to go in and we'll be able to specify that if a student is taking a lesson with Barb and they're taking flute, they get essential elements for flute versus whatever the other one is. Essential elements, and I'm not even going to try to remember it, whatever it is. I'm sure someone here from the music industry can let me know. And Danica, I see that you're talking about the My District is Not Listed. If someone does pick that, then yeah, typically I would recommend having a school. Let me just hop back to that table really quick just to sate your curiosity. I would recommend having a school called My School Is Not Listed. If that's the only school that you have in the given district, then it will by default pick that particular school. And in this case, the school, quote unquote, is My School Is Not Listed, which then by extension, if we scroll down on this, we will have the My Teacher Is Not Listed. So basically that would be for the people that you wish to rent to who either don't attend school or are being homeschooled or are beyond the school age, whatever it might be. Now, again, that's the whole idea of these teachers. You will need to have at least one teacher per school that you are servicing on this list, but it doesn't have to be a teacher name. If you are not on that one-to-one relationship where either the teachers cycle in and out too fast, or you just don't know who the teachers are, but maybe you do know the programs that exist at that school. You might come in here and you might, for any given school, you might, instead of naming the teacher, you might say it's jazz band, or instrumental band, or orchestral band, or whatever it might be. Ultimately, this is going to allow you then to select specific instruments for the given program. The jazz-oriented instruments for the jazz band program, the string and orchestral instruments for the orchestral program, whatever it might be. But you will need to have something. Now, if all they have is just a basic band program and you don't know who the individual teachers are, you could have something as simple as all teachers or any teacher or even just NA. And if that's the case across all the different schools that you are servicing, in other words, if on this list all the teachers have the same name of either all teachers or NA or whatever it might be, the website itself can be customized to essentially hide the teacher selection so that all the customer might see is district and school. And that actually holds true for all of these different steps. If by chance they're all in the same district or all in the same school, those different selections can essentially be nullified so that the customer is just picking the only variable of those three or variables of those three that are relevant to what you're giving them as far as choices. I want to talk a little bit about this AIM school override option. In most cases, you're probably not going to need this, but this is there for the purposes of, let's just scroll down. I don't know if I've got one set up here, but let's just pick on Genevieve here. Maybe Genevieve is an independent contractor who prefers that when you run reports, they are specific. Well, for example, when you run a report, let's say of in the contracts menu of contracts by school, typically you would run this report and you would make a selection of a given school, like Audubon or Bernard or Bryant or whatever the school might be. But maybe Genevieve teaches at multiples of those schools, and it's set up to where if the students are taking lessons with Genevieve, you would prefer that they be listed specifically as Genevieve, basically being her own school. That's where that AIM school override might come into play. You would actually have, back in the maintenance and contract and school setup, you would have the instructor as their own school name, so that when you get to that particular teacher, and actually of all of these, Genevieve is probably the least likely to be on this list. Locally, I know Barb actually does teach in multiple schools throughout the area here, as does Michelle. You can see she's both at Audubon and Bryant and Holy Ghost. So in situations like that, you might have a school called, quote unquote, Michelle Long, so that if there are some students attending Bryant and they're taking lessons from Sally or Carmela, they just list as Bryant. But if they're taking them from Michelle, maybe she's got her own LLC or whatever it might be, but you want to break out the contracts that are with her exclusively, you could have the AIM school set up so that they then report differently internally. They'll basically, the customer will still see Michelle as a teacher at these different schools that they can pick from, but internally the reporting would be broken into, in this case, her own section, her own school, if you will. So that's the whole idea behind the AIM school. Again, probably not needed for the vast majority of you out there, but in certain circumstances that may be helpful. And again, you have the ability to exclude some of these steps from the contracts. Since we do have a little bit of time, and I was kind of expecting more questions, but not a big deal. Let's go back and talk a little bit about this whole concept of topics. Now, as you might have noticed, in the case of topic, I've left this blank in all of my setup. But what a topic is it's a part of the website that you have set up with extra information. This might be, let's go back to the school, for example, because at the topic level of a school, it might talk about, you might have a part of the website that's set up to have a picture of the school facade and a little brief history of the band's accolades over the years. Maybe they've attended X number of presidential inaugurations, or have done so many Rose Bowl parades, or just whatever the case might be. But you can have all of that information on a topic, which is basically something that you set up on the Vortex back end. And you would give that topic a name, and then you would take that topic name and you would just copy and paste it into the topic field here. That way, the website would know if and when a customer selects that particular school or district or teacher, it'll know to display that topic on the web page for your customer to see. And topic is just all dependent on where you link it. So here at the school setup, this would be something that you would set up specific to the school, irregardless of who the teacher might be. Same thing at the district level. If you set up something to display, maybe you want to display like a district map showing all the schools within that district, and you could display that when a customer picks that district. You could then have the topic set up with the image of the map, and then maybe even like a list of all of the schools just in text format. And then by taking the name of that topic and linking it here, it would know to display that on the website. Or to the final area that we're talking about today, the teachers. Again, maybe you have a topic all about Beth's achievements, her 30-some years of teaching, or whatever it might be. You want to display that on the website. You can set that topic up on Vortex, name it accordingly. Maybe it's just Beth W. or whatever it might be, or B. Wertenen, and then you can not only paste that here, but in any other instances where that might be applicable. Maybe Michelle Long is, again, a more appropriate choice for that. But basically it gives you not only some extra flexibility as far as the website, but it also can help flesh it out, make it more informative, and this whole idea of topics will be extending to the other areas that we'll be looking into on next Thursday when we talk about delivery choices, maintenance choices, accessories, inventory, etc., etc. So if you've ever done like car shopping, for example, there might be like a long list of accessory choices or accessory packages on the website, and there might be like a little link that like you can click on, and it pops up a little info panel of everything that's in that accessory package or what that accessory even is, because the auto industry is fraught with acronyms and whatnot, and they all run into each other anymore. So that's basically the concept here, just for your rental program online. So that's basically what I wanted to, again, just kind of focus on today. Hopefully by breaking this down into a couple of steps each session, this will make this whole idea of setting up online contracts easier to digest. Again, it's just all one bite at a time. So just to summarize, you would set up your districts, and then I can't display multiple pages at the same time, but by setting up your districts, you can then set up your schools and link them to the appropriate districts. If you do have an existing list of schools from your contract menu, in the Add Change Schools area here, if this is fully fleshed out, then you can by all means pull that list here using the Auto School button. You'll just want to make sure that you go through and clean up any potential abbreviations. Like, hopefully most people would know that HS stands for high school, but it might not be a bad idea to do something like that in those situations. Again, just to make sure that what the customer sees makes perfect sense and gives no potential roadblock for them saying, well, my child attends Gilbert Classical Academy High School. I don't see that. All I see is HS. This is stupid. I'm going to go somewhere else for my rental. Nope. If you come through here and basically make it as crystal clear as you possibly can, it just makes things so much easier for the customers. So that's the school setup. Then at the teacher level, if you've got that personal relationship with the individual teachers and you know that certain teachers prefer certain teaching aids and materials and method books and whatnot, great. Set them up exactly as you kind of see here with the exact names of the teachers, the schools that they teach at, because then you can expand on that capability and make it so that the customer and the child who's taking the lessons get the appropriate materials for day one of lessons, and they don't show up to their first lesson holding the wrong book. Standard of excellence, that was the other one that I was thinking of. So standard of excellence versus essential elements. If they showed up with one book and not the other, and the teacher expected them to have essential elements and they showed up with standards or no book at all, that would be a bad thing. So we'll be taking a look at that next Thursday and the following Tuesday. Technically next Thursday, we will be looking at setting up delivery choices, maintenance choices, and accessory choices. So we'll be diving into those as well as some of the inventory setup. And then the following Tuesday, we'll be diving into the plan and rate table and then tying this all together with the inventory accessory school links. So hopefully this has been helpful. Definitely mark your calendars. You can, if you switch back over here on the right-hand side to the playlist tab, I think that's what it's called. You'll see the schedule of events for March as well as into April. I've got it all kind of set up through the end of April. And then that way you can make sure to know what we're covering as we kind of go through our schedule here for the next couple of months. If there are any topics that you would like to see me cover into June and beyond, or I guess May comes after April, up at the top is the poll tab. You can go into there and you can make any number of topic suggestions for live stream material. I take all topic suggestions into consideration, anything you want me to look at, I take very seriously. So I want to make sure these sessions are suitable for you and that you're getting something out of it. As always, these sessions are being recorded and they will be in the recent live streams playlist back on the video tab, as well as any other playlist choices where applicable. In this case, these series of live streams will be not only in the recent live streams tab playlist, they'll also be in the Active E playlist, and these will also be in the contracts playlist, the long-term contracts playlists. So take a look for today's session as well as those following sessions in those playlists. And I don't see any other questions that went unanswered. So hopefully this has been nice and clear. And if there's anything that comes up between now and next Thursday that you need immediate answers on, definitely give our support team a call. You can also email me directly if you would prefer. You can reach out to training@tritechretail.com. And Rich, I see you're asking about inventory grade. I'll be talking about that actually tomorrow. I always kind of forget about that since that's up there at the top of the list. So yeah, we'll be, or not tomorrow, next Thursday. You know what I meant. But yeah, we'll be talking about that next Thursday, along with all those other areas when it comes specifically to the inventory setup. So hopefully you're all able to make it a great day, and we will see you next Thursday. Take care and have a good one.